Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thank you, ADC, for inviting me this morning. My name is Franc Cheetham. I'm a creative lead inside Google, working for a team called Creative Works. So we're here as a team that's really helping to push the creative levers. And we've got next. There we go. We're really here to help brands and their creative partners push creativity on our platforms. Today, I'm going to share a few cases of some of the work we've been doing around the topic of sustainability to really help drive some sustainable change. So we're really at the tipping point right now. The images you may have seen in the last few weeks around New York, where the skies went orange, this was due to the fact of the Canadian wildfires that were making the air in New York some of the most inhabitable air quality that they've ever experienced. This was the most dangerous, high-polluting air quality that New Yorkers have ever experienced. So this climate change is really impacting the way we live our lives, the way we work, and it's really changing our environment that we live in. 2 years ago, here in Germany, you also experienced some devastation in terms of flooding, which took away lives, took away homes, took away infrastructure. From my hometown, or my home country, let's say, New Zealand, we were also impacted on a very similar scale. People were isolated without energy, without water, without communications for days. So the formula seems pretty simple. We're extracting raw materials and consuming them at a rate much faster than our natural ecosystems can keep up with. At this current rate, we'll need 1.7 planets to maintain our pace. If we consumed at the rate of, say, the Western countries such as Germany, we'll need up to 3 planets. Okay, so this is really unsustainable. The tragedy is it's the poorer nations that are suffering the most and they're contributing the least to the problem. What you're seeing on screen is Google Earth time-lapse, or I like to call time machine. It's a visualization of 40 years of Google Earth data. And what you're seeing is a visualization where it's managing to highlight the impact of human urbanization, human development across different nations. We have 800 time lapses done around the world. The image is really impactful and it captures essentially what we're discussing right now today. So it all seems pretty overwhelming. I've had moments of, what am I going to do? I'm going to give up on all this. I started to think about what I could do. So really convert the work I was doing, the work I loved, into something that could actually make an impact. Well, what I'm here today to tell you is we're on the verge of a transformation. Okay? We're all here. We all have superpowers to really contribute positively to this change. So I'm going to start off with an OK, Google, what can brands do about climate change? So when we talk about brands, we talk about marketing and advertising. One of the biggest things that we need to address, the biggest criticisms we have, is around trust. As generations get younger, we see a stronger desire for more honesty and more transparency, and brands that have values that match theirs. Greenwashing is such a big issue in our industry, and we're seeing plenty of disconnect between what brands are doing and what they're saying and what they're doing. So it's really important that we provide credible data, credible information, and credible education on what we can do to make a change. So I'm going to share 5 ways, let's say, that we are seeing how sustainability can be infused into your marketing and how you can make a change as a brand or an advertiser. First one is understand the impact. Second is find your best argument. Third is commit to the long haul. 4th is connect with communities, and 5 is make it easy, hijack some habits. We'll start with understand the impact. I'm going to use an example from Google's AI capabilities in Google Cloud. Now, when we talk about understanding the impact, this is an essential part of the journey, the starting point, understanding where the impact is being caused. What you're seeing on screen is an image of the ROC in Central Asia. So the image on the left is of the year 2000, the image on the right, year 2014. The ROC was the 4th largest lake in the world at the time, at 2000. Over the course of 14 years, the lake decreased more and more over time until it reached the image on the right. This was due to the fact there was a boom in the fashion industry and a huge demand on water supply around the region. The cotton farmers were to kind of be the source of this impact, and just poor farming, lack of education on how they could set up the correct infrastructure. So, starting our journey, we started to think about what is the way we can step forward on this. We started with a group of, just before COVID, a group of experts and passionate Googlers and fashion industry experts to try and think about how we can make a difference. So we had Stella McCartney, the WWF, Google, and our Google Cloud engineers, and some fashion experts. What we saw was quite powerful that we were sitting on was a really incredible source of environmental information. And this was from Google Earth. So you're seeing satellite imagery of Google Earth imagery. There's a huge catalog of information that we can get from this database. If we use this and try and think about how we can apply this to some of the understanding of what we're doing day in, day out, we can start to make some credible change. So on the right is just an example of a tool that we produced for the fashion industry. Stella McCartney was first in line to test and pilot this tool. Now, the tool was really set out to provide more real-time, more accurate information about the choices of materials and fibers that the fashion brands were making. From this, they could choose a material, they could choose a location, and they could clearly see the difference in what the impact was between one fiber to another. This is a pilot tool. This is something that has a lot of potential to create a huge impact. And we're really excited about the next phase of this tool with Textile Exchange and more brands to test it out. I'm going to play a little video with Stella McCartney here.
One of the problems that we face is the fashion industry is one of the biggest contributors to the global climate crisis. Fundamentally, the people that are producing a product in the fashion industry, they don't really have the information. They're desperate for it. I think everyone really wants to try and source and supply in a better way. There is a demand there.
The negative environmental impact happens at the raw materials stage of the supply chain, where the data is the most opaque. And so we developed the GFIE, the Global Fiber Impact Explorer. Stella McCartney brought deep industry expertise. The WWF brought incredible conservation knowledge, and Google brought technological experience as well as unique data points from our Google Earth engine. It's a web-based, intuitive, environmental data platform built to enable more responsible sourcing decisions. It's the first time that this breadth of data and impacts have been combined into an integrated risk assessment tool, really made explicitly for the textiles industry.
I think this tool is a great answer for other people to really gain that transparency and understand the impact on where they're sourcing.
As an industry, we have to have more information available to our customers to make our practices more sustainable. Sustainability also means taking care of the communities you operate in.
We are in danger of future generations not having the quality of life that we've been so lucky to experience. So we have to all work together across all industries, and we have to take responsibility. We have to act now.
Okay, so moving on. Second point here, find your best argument. I'm going to use video experimentation as a way to illustrate this point. So while innovation, as we saw with the Stella McCartney case, is a huge driver for transformation, we've also been looking to see how storytelling is playing a huge part in shifting minds and behaviors of consumers. We've studied hundreds of YouTube ads to try and see what are the levers that are actually driving impact and action. Back Market is a refurbished, let's say, retail brand in France. They're also selling in Germany and also in the UK and US. Now, they are selling primarily iPhones, let's say. They wanted to understand their impact at first before to make any announcements. So they worked with a third-party organization to test and understand what is the difference in terms of environmental impact of buying a new phone versus buying a refurbished used phone. They were able to get really credible data in terms of the water usage, the raw materials that were mined, the carbon emissions that were used. So they decided to use this information and turn this into a way to communicate to consumers on their decision. They worked with Marcel in Paris to develop Hack Market. I believe probably a lot of you know quite well. So the idea here was to use this idea of a hack of an iPhone store to meet consumers as they were looking at iPhones with an airdrop. It was quite a smart idea. And they were faced with some of the impact, as you saw as I mentioned earlier. This was interesting, but they also wanted to test out other ways to tell this message or to communicate this message. So they created other formats which were much more leaning into the sustainability message than Hack Market. What was interesting here is when they ran these 3 videos to different audiences, they could see that Hack Market, for sure, huge PR, huge awareness, which is really great. But what was interesting, the other videos that were communicating more about the sustainability impact were actually gathering more search interest in regions like Germany and France, actually. So it's really interesting when you think about how you want to communicate on these points, just to understand what is the right message and what is really going to shift the needle. So it's cases like this that are offering a lot of insights into how we can communicate effectively. We're seeing more situations where information to the consumer at the key point is really important to help them in the decision making. So next up, commit to the long term. I've got a lovely Google Maps example here to share with you today. So newer players like Back Market have sustainability, circularity really built into their core business. But what if you take an older, more established brand, say like a 100-year-old CPG brand such as Mars, for example. Mars are a global group. They have a pet food company named Sheba. So Sheba was a pet food company that really started to understand the impacts of climate change on their core business. They realized the importance of protecting ocean and marine life as it was core to their key business. It was the supply chain. It was seafood. So as they moved forward, they wanted to know how they could do this. They transformed the business model to really thinking about how to convert their seafood supply to 100% sustainably sourced seafood. So to do this, they embarked on a 10-year mission, a 10-year objective in the company, where they converted their supply, but they also looked at other ways where they could help in the coral restoration or marine preservation. So to highlight this huge effort, they briefed AMV BBDO in London, who understood the scale and the importance of this decision. But they needed something different. They needed something really universally understood, very simple and very powerful. They needed an idea that would help translate the impact in a location far, far away from much of their customer base. So that's where they came up with this idea of the Hope Reef Regeneration Project. This is really a powerful project where it has a lot of brand action and a lot of results, and it's a stunning and compelling image that really captures the spirit of their effort. It is essentially the largest coral restoration project in the world. It's a typeset, you could say the world's largest typeface, which is a typeset in a coral restoration area outside of Indonesia. But this is so big that this can be seen from outer space. So the Hope Reef has been developed with local communities in Indonesia to really help bring back marine life. It's a record 185 square meters. You can go to it and swim through it and explore it in real life. The word was then taken and used in a lot of the marketing materials in terms of billboards and ads. And it really sort of captured the effort, like I said, in a single image. But what I love the most about this campaign, the true test of transparency, is that you can even visit the Hope Reef on Google Maps. So if you have your phone handy, you can scan that QR code, and you can visit Hope Reef in the location in Indonesia. All right, but Sheba didn't stop there. They continued this effort to raise funds to continue to restore reefs in other parts of the world and other projects. To do this, they thought of an idea to turn their YouTube channel into a way to raise funds for this effort. So what they did is quite unique for a brand, let's say, they changed their YouTube channel from a brand channel to a creators channel. So by turning it into a creators channel, they were able to monetize the video. So every time someone watched a video, they would get some money for that. All the money that was raised for that goes into future restoration projects. So they're now continuing to develop more educational, more interesting content on their channel to start to educate around these marine projects. All right, next up, connect with communities. So I'm going to use YouTubers to kind of illustrate this theme here. So as brands look to become more social content creators for good, we should already acknowledge the amazing community of YouTubers that are already leading the way on these topics. For YouTube last year, while the metaverse was a very hot topic and in a conversation, they wanted to retake the conversation from that for Earth Day to present an idea of something that we should be really thinking about, our non-fungible planet.
Okay, what planet are we on again? What the... Is that a face or a butt? Oh, excuse me, and you are? Wait a second, this is Earth? This planet really is one of a kind. This Earth Day, join your favorite YouTube creators to explore the non-fungible planet we call home, and the nonprofits YouTube supports to protect it. Non-Fungible Planet. Celebrate Earth Day every day on YouTube.
So by working with YouTube creators, they were able to highlight some of the amazing projects and restoration efforts going on around the globe. This is one of my favorites, YouTubers Sailing the Vagabond, who are an Australian couple essentially traveling around the world with their 2 kids to raise awareness around marine ocean protection and marine conservation. The self-taught, crowd-funded, they were joined by a crew and other YouTubers to help explore the most famous diving hole, which is called Dean's Blue Hole in Bahamas. So it's really educational content and informative content like this that YouTubers are really driving the conversation with. They're coming up with really new formats all the time and really leading the way, as I said, on some of these issues. So you can learn a lot by following a new YouTuber, learn how to hack your food waste, learn how to grow your own garden, or maybe you just want to travel the slow way. There's a wealth of information, a wealth of passionate YouTuber talent out there. Brands could definitely learn a thing or two about what they're doing there. Okay, lastly, make it easy and hijack habits. So we all know that changing habits can be really, really tough to integrate in any sense of the word. Whether it's trying to get fit, or changing your diet, or drinking more water, or saving money, we all have this kind of muscle memory in us that makes it really hard to change behavior. So the next case I want to show you is a case all around little details. And it just shows the power of design and the power of little details in design that can create incredible change at scale. So Google's been working on updating all its core platforms, such as search, shopping, and travel, with little, let's say, sustainability nudges. So nudges that will help you make more informed decisions about what you're doing. So this is a campaign here. You can see in the image here a Google Flights example. So when you search on Google Flights, say for your next flight, you probably have seen, you can see all the carbon emissions from every plane. So you can make a decision on the amount of impact you're making. You can even be offered a train as an alternative, which I did to get here from Paris. So it might not seem like much, this little change, but as I said, if you add that up and think about the billions of users that are using our platforms, it can be pretty substantial. So this campaign was running around Germany. You probably have seen it. It's about millions of these small decisions and how they can add up to a huge amount of savings. But what I love the most about this campaign is that it's not only about the campaign, it's about how they made the campaign. So this is really important for all of you here today. So thinking about the impact of production, the decisions you make for going on photo shoots, going on film shoots, for traveling to foreign countries, this all adds up in terms of impact. So they worked with a consultant to really figure out the best way to build this campaign and the least impact that they could make. So they traveled to distances around Germany and close by train. They used a generator to produce electric and renewable energy, changed all the meals to vegan, used kind of a second-hand wardrobe, let's say, for all the costume. So all these little decisions in their whole production really added up, and they managed to save around 1/3 of the emissions that an average film production of this sort would make. So from this, they've built a playbook and a website. I encourage you to check it out. White and Kennedy in Amsterdam are behind this campaign, and they've created a huge amount of resources that you can start to consider. All right, so I think we have time for a little bit of this, so I'll play a little bit of the video.
People in Germany want to take climate action, but are skeptical about their individual impact. However, even small decisions can add up to something bigger when done at scale. So Google introduced new sustainability features to help make climate-friendly decisions easier for everyone. Now, if you need to drive somewhere, Google Maps shows you the eco-friendly route, saving you both fuel and money. If you're traveling, Google Search compares CO2 emissions for trains and flights, clearly showing the lower option. And if you don't need to drive or fly, even better. Google Maps suggests nearby bike and e-scooter sharing. The launch campaign reached 60 million people in Germany and created a national buzz, inspiring a collective change. From content creators
Und seit neuestem wird dir auf diesem Wege eine Route vorgeschlagen.
Google Maps nutzen und Sprit sparen.
to politicians to media.
Google Maps hat da jetzt die spritsparendste Route.
But more importantly, people started taking action.
Tatsächlich, diese App scheint zu funktionieren. Ich bin überrascht.
Fuel-saving routes alone saved 1 million tons of CO2 emissions since launch. The equivalent of taking 250,000 cars off the road. 2.6 million people feel that they can now make climate-friendly choices more easily with the help of Google.
Great. So those are my 5 pointers or 5 tips to help make sustainable change in the work you're doing. I'm going to leave you with those, but thank you, everyone. So while AI is definitely here to solve some of our key challenges and problems, I believe it's human creativity and also sustainability at the core that's really going to help envisage a new future for ourselves in the long term. So the scientists have done all the work, and now it's our turn. Thank you.